For the multi-tier app, I think there are several users that can actually use the Corvil solution. So you might have an IT ops group that might get the initial call from a user, right? Hey, I can't browse to my homepage or whatever the thing happens to be. That user can actually go through and do a search for that specific user that called up. So we uniquely identify that user on the network. They can just go in there and search for Sally from accounting or whoever and pull up that person's interaction with that application. Then they can begin to determine, all right, is there any degradation? What's going on here? And they might pass this off to a network team. So that ticket may then go to a network engineer. Now that network engineer may go from the bottom up as opposed to top down from the IT ops person, right? So that network engineer might say, okay, well, let me look at the underlying network and make sure we don't have any drop packets. I've got no zero window events. I don't see any congestion on here. They're able to sort of validate that. So those are two users that can actually use that information. There's also another user, the business owner, for the multi-tier application that can actually use this for business analytics. So since we have transactional visibility and we can begin to sort of understand how long it takes for those transactions to go through, there's several different ways they can view their website. They can see what's doing well, what's not doing well, what are the users accessing, and what type of data are they posting up there. So there's a lot of different sort of connotations to that user as well that they can use the Corvil solution. That decode, that puts that techie packets into a more English-like language allows that business owner to not have to go to a network engineering school, right, to be able to understand what's going on. I think that one of the things that's actually kind of satisfying is when we typically do a proof of concept with a customer, we put it in, we spend a couple of days showing somebody how to use the tool set. But what was really interesting is when they get that call where something is performing poorly. And a lot of times guys on my team will get the call and say, hey, help, you just put this in a couple days ago, I'm not sure how to use the tool set yet, can you help us walk through? So we'll walk them through how to troubleshoot. And they're always impressed by how easily and how they're able to get to the root cause of an issue where they haven't been before. I think our dashboards are pretty interesting because they look great. They're pretty easy to organize things. And then the click-through down into our event inspection is really kind of interesting because other vendors in the industry have to use 3 or 4 different solutions in order to do what we can do on a single box. And everything is done on the appliance itself, meaning there's no pulling of the packet data back to the desktop to do analysis. Everything is done right there on the servers. And that's really important because, again, data rates are not decreasing, they're increasing. So more and more we have to find ways to be able to parse terabytes worth of data. And it's not just 1 or 2 terabytes anymore, it's hundreds of terabytes of information that we may have to figure out and parse down to a specific conversation to then troubleshoot. So to me, just lighting the appliance up with data, if you just give me a feed from a span or a tap, and then showing the user how to sort of organize in our dashboards and then troubleshoot into our event inspection are really 2 of the areas that I think are really resonate with our customers. A lot of times people will have a troubleshooting call, right? So something happens. You open a bridge and there might be anywhere between 10 and 30 people on a bridge. I've actually personally been involved with bridges that have had 65 people on them. And those 65 people, there's probably only 2 people that need to be there, right? But we don't do that. We open the bridge and say, okay, all hands, everybody come on here. With Corvil, what you're able to do is do an initial triage of that specific incident. So instead of getting 65 people into the room and in the table, you can get the 2 people that really matter, right? So the fault domain isolation that we can do, our ability to see things at a decode level allows us to be able to say, okay, we think that this is isolated into the database and storage. Let's get the database and storage people on the call. Let's get the network guys on the call. So now I have 3 people instead of 30 people in that room. Well, those other people can go do other stuff for your company. They can go make money for your company, do other projects and things. So that really is the value of the Corvil, the precision and the trust that we have with our customers to give them the right data.